Left in the rain to learn how 3 unbelievably touching words transformed my life forever. The rain battered down as Sarah stood outside the hospital, her soaked scrubs clinging to her skin, a chilling reminder of her chaotic day. She declocked in at 7, exhausted yet committed, the relentless demands of her job as a nurse rarely granting her a moment of reprieve. Every patient was a story, every shift an emotional roller coaster. But here she was, waiting for a bus in the storm, a powerful weight pressing against her chest. "I believe in you." The words lingered, a soft echo from an elderly patient long gone, lighting a flicker of resolve within her heart. But that flicker struggled against fierce winds of doubt. Was she enough? Did she have the stamina to chase her long-cherished dream of becoming a nurse practitioner? The idea seemed laughable against the backdrop of her daily grind. Colleagues barely respected her existing role, let alone the audacity of her aspirations. They had families of their own, while she shoved her own desires to the back of her mind, caught in the daily whirlwind of juggling work and being a single mother to her 15-year-old daughter, Emma. As each week stretched on, the cycle felt more like an endless loop, scrubs and sleepless nights merging with the paranoia of unpaid bills. The chaos of her life didn't just leave Sarah drained, it left her riddled with questions. Was pursuing higher education naive? Would it mean more time away from Emma, who was already navigating the stormy seas of adolescence without her mother? The thought of failing, of leaving her daughter in an even tougher spot, gnawed at her. Fear settled into her stomach like a rock. And yet darkness turned inward. How could Sarah teach Emma to chase dreams while she herself hesitated at every step? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. More than just exhaustion, a deep frustration churned within her every time she faced the dismissive smirk of her colleagues, their hollow laughter echoing in her ears. But when she met Dr. Thompson, a professor who took time to see her, to believe in her, the nagging thoughts shifted slightly. His encouragement was a lifeline, but could she trust it? She felt like an outsider, every word he offered a shining beacon against swirling shadows that questioned her worthiness. Yet there was a weight to the privilege he carried as an instructor, a gap Sarah struggled to comprehend. Was it possible to overcome the invisible barriers that marked their lives? Faced with the perpetual struggle to prove herself, she found herself trapped in a spinning cycle of hope and fear. The stakes rose higher when her colleague unleashed a wave of undermining comments, undercurrents of disdain threatening to steal away the hard-fought belief she was grasping. At that moment, standing in the pouring rain, uncertainty dripped from the tips of her fingers as she grappled with a simple truth. Her dreams teetered on a thin edge, a precarious balance of potential and peril. Would those 3 small words, once so simple, drag her into the light or pull her deeper into darkness? The rain cascaded down, mirroring the unresolved turmoil within her, leaving Sarah with one urgent thought as she clutched her soaked phone. What would it take to make the leap toward her dreams, and towards a better life for Emma? The bus finally arrived, its headlights piercing through the downpour. As Sarah stepped inside and found a window seat, droplets cascaded off her shoulders, leaving a wake of moisture in her wake. She stared blankly at the streets passing by, each illuminated storefront reflecting possibilities and fears in equal measure. The weight of her ambition bore down harder than the relentless rain. Dr. Thompson's words echoed in her mind, a stark contrast to the biting cynicism of her colleagues. Their derision replayed like a taunting melody, creating a cacophony against her still-growing resolve. She needed to find a way to transform encouragement into action, a plan. But with Emma's needs swirling around her, it felt impossible to carve out time. Once home, the swirling chaos of her life awaited. Emma sat at the kitchen table, headphones on, shielded from the world around her. The sight tugged at Sarah, a reminder of the roles she cherished but also the sacrifices she made daily. She placed her bag down and took a deep breath, her heart racing with the thought of sharing her dreams with Emma. Would she be supportive, or would it be another burden added to their already tense dynamic? Hey, Sarah said softly, trying to disrupt the bubble of isolation Emma created. Her daughter looked up, eyebrows furrowing slightly. Youthful determination mingled with vulnerability danced across Emma's face, a turf Sarah knew well, struggling to find oneself amidst expectations. Mom, Emma replied, pulling off her headphones, do you need something? As Sarah struggled for words, she took a seat. I was thinking, maybe we could talk about our dreams. About what we want. Emma's expression shifted, curiosity sparking through her bemused facade. What do you mean? Like dreams you have for your life? Or are dreams like for school? Sarah hesitated, knowing she needed to navigate this conversation delicately. Both, really. You know, sometimes it can feel really hard to go after what we want. She paused, weighing her next words. You know how it's been for me at work, I get that, Emma admitted, fidgeting with her pencil. But you're a nurse. Isn't that like your dream? Sarah felt her pulse quicken, the urge to shield her daughter from doubts rising. However, vulnerability felt paramount. I want to be more than just a nurse, Emma. I want to become a nurse practitioner. But I struggle with believing I can do it, especially when it feels like others don't see it as possible. Why not? Emma blurted. You've always done hard things. The insight struck Sarah like a bolt of lightning. It was true. The very obstacles that tethered her could also fuel her. Perhaps the journey toward her dreams was not meant to be solitary. Emma could become an ally rather than a reason to pull back. Gathering courage, Sarah explained her plan, going back to school, tackling courses, and even navigating her work commitments. Emma listened attentively, her pulse of understanding sparking warmth. The thoughts of admiration flickered in her daughter's expression, and for the first time, Sarah could sense support forming like a fragile bridge between them. But as the conversation flowed, shadows of doubt seeped into Sarah's mind, dark clouds of what-ifs looming overhead. What if she failed? What if the courses were too demanding? What if she dropped the ball on being a mother again? Mom? Emma's voice pulled her back. Are you okay? You seem worried. Sarah forced a smile, but the uncertainty hung thickly in the air. A decision loomed on the horizon. Would she dive in with fervor or let fear dictate her future? As night settled around them and the discussion eased, Sarah found herself grappling with the new foothold she created for them both. The path ahead shimmered, yet shrouded in doubt. Navigating the delicate balance between ambition and parental responsibility would be the real challenge. All she had to do was take a leap. But would she summon the courage to embrace the unknown? The coming days held either a newfound identity or a retreat into familiar shadows. The clock was ticking. Her gut tense tomorrow would demand a decision. It was time to face what lay on the other side of doubt. Would she break through or fall back? The moment lingered, heavy with uncertainty. Morning light spilled into the kitchen, dispelling the shadows of doubt from the night before. The aroma of fresh coffee mingled with the scent of eggs cooking, a routine comfort that felt oddly out of place given the storm brewing inside Sarah. She stood at the counter, her mind racing as she stirred the mixture in the pan, contemplating the leap she was ready to take. Emma shuffled into the room, her hair tousled and her expression still half dreamy. Good morning, she mumbled, taking a seat at the table, her presence grounding Sarah. Morning, sweetheart, Sarah replied, forcing a smile that barely held. She sensed an opportunity here, a chance to pivot their relationship into something more collaborative, starting with the breakfast table. What do you think about maybe planning our goals together? Sarah ventured, her voice tinged with hope. I know it sounds a bit silly, but I think it could be fun. Emma raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Like a vision board? Yeah, or just a list of steps we can take to chase what we want, Sarah continued. I mean, I want to go back to school, and maybe you have some goals for the band or something else? Emma's eyes sparkled with potential as she thought it over. I've wanted to be in a music competition. The budding excitement sent a surge of warmth through Sarah. Then let us hash out a plan. I can help you with your practice sessions, and you could help me stay on track with school. As they began to sketch out their dreams on a paper napkin, Sarah felt something shift within her. The act of sharing her ambitions with Emma transformed the burden she carried. They now felt lighter, less confined to the shadows of unspoken fears. She found herself digging deeper, outlining not only her academic goals but also the personal sacrifices required along the way. Each word breathed life into her aspirations, drawing Emma in, creating a vibrant exchange of possibilities. But as she paused to reflect, the nagging doubts resurfaced. What if Emma's passion for music overshadowed her academic efforts? Balancing both would require even more commitment. Would they thrive or spiral into chaos? Mom? Emma's voice broke through Sarah's spiraling thoughts. This is really cool. I never thought you could be so excited about school. But do you really think you can do it? It sounds really hard. The question hung heavily in the air. Sarah's heart raced. She could feel the weight of expectation. This isn't just about me, Em. I want to show you that we can pursue our goals, even when they feel impossible. She tried to steel her voice, but uncertainty threaded through her words. Emma's brows furrowed. Are you scared? Yes, Sarah admitted, meeting her daughter's gaze openly. But maybe that's okay. Fear can be a sign that something really matters. It felt cathartic to voice the truth, and as she looked into Emma's curious eyes, she realized vulnerability might actually strengthen their bond. Their conversation evolved, interwoven with laughter and the spontaneous joy of shared purpose. They each continued to include details, acknowledging fears alongside their hopes. For Sarah, it was about proving more than her own capabilities. It was about leading by example. Each moment became a realization of empowerment, a stark contrast to the all-consuming self-doubt that had defined her existence for so long. After breakfast, Sarah cleared the clutter from the table, her heart barely containing the exhilaration of their newfound connection. She could feel momentum building, and the taste of progress was intoxicating. Yet as she prepared to head to work, a message pinged on her phone. It was from Dr. Thompson, doubling down on her need to enroll by the end of the week. Anxiety rippled through her. What if this affirmation turned to pressure? Would her resolve shatter under the weight of expectation? Holding the phone tightly, Sarah felt the precarious balance of her dreams shift once again. The concern resurfaced. Could she manage this alongside being a mother? As she stood at the threshold of her day, the decisions before her churned. In an exhilarating turmoil. It was clear now, the leap had to be taken very soon. The choice loomed larger, and its urgency crackled in the air around her. The walls of her old life pressed in, but she could see a glimmer of the path she wanted to embark on. The scintilla of possibility electrified every nerve, compelling her to act. But fear tightened its hold. Turning away from the door, she felt motionless in a moment of reckoning. The next steps were crucial. Every choice would define the horizons laid before them both. Would she rise to the challenge, or would inertia claim her? The weight of the decision hung suspended in the air, offering not clarity, but an electrifying tension that begged for resolution. What awaited her beyond the threshold could reshape everything. Would she let fear bleed into her reality, or would she rewrite her story with boldness? The answer was just beyond her grasp, yet closer than ever. Stepping outside, Sarah was greeted by the crisp morning air, still tinged with the promise of a new beginning. Each inhale came with a mix of adrenaline and dread, the familiar juxtaposition of hope and fear weaving itself into her thoughts. She took a moment to collect herself, the world around her alive with the hum of daily activity. Every car that passed, every laugh from a neighbor, seemed to tether her deeper into the moment. But then, the ping of her phone ripped her back into reality, a stark reminder of the weight she carried. Dr. Thompson's message loomed like a thundercloud, casting doubt on her resolve. Was she really ready for academically rigorous nights, the hours of study, the potential failures lurking in the shadows of each assignment? She sensed the tug of her old habits, the ones clawing for attention, tempting her to retreat into the comfort of what she had always known. As she drove to work, her mind replayed the moments of vulnerability shared with Emma, the smiles, the dreams. It seemed almost surreal. How could she want something so badly yet feel so paralyzed? The internal conflict gripped her heart, and she tightened her grip on the steering wheel. If she wanted to model resilience, she would have to confront the fears that threatened to define her. Arriving at the office, Sarah was greeted by her boss, Jim, who asked about her weekend. She mustered a smile, though her mind remained a torrent of thoughts. Instead of deflecting with small talk as she usually did, she took a step forward. Actually, I've been thinking a lot about my future. I'm considering going back to school. The surprise on Jim's face revealed a crack in the expectations he had of her. He straightened, interest piqued. That's great to hear, Sarah. What are you thinking of studying? For a moment, she hesitated, a rush of self-doubt threatening to silence her ambitions. But the image of Emma's enthusiastic response to their morning conversation flickered through her mind, igniting her voice. I want to pursue a degree in marketing. I've always felt a pull towards being more strategic, more involved in the creative side of business. A thoughtful nod from Jim caught her off guard. You know, that kind of initiative can make a real difference here. If you feel passionate about it, I'd support you, even through flexible hours if necessary. The offer simmered in her chest, warmth spreading as she realized the weight of that endorsement. Here was a chance not just to take her own leap, but also to explore the possibility of professional growth. But then a thought pierced the moment. Was she truly equipped to manage her job, Emma's needs, and her schoolwork simultaneously? A conflict simmered anew as she retreated to her desk, taking deep breaths to steady herself. Could she transform the ambition into reality without neglecting her role as a mother? That question felt heavy, and she reminded herself that overcoming this struggle was part of her growth. She quickly tapped a message back to Dr. Thompson, asking for an appointment later in the week. It was a small step, but it propelled her forward. As the day unfolded, the swift pace of work provided a welcome distraction, yet the thought of making a concrete decision lingered like a distant drum. Every interaction felt more charged than usual, as if the universe was echoing her own internal rhythm back at her, reminding her that each moment was both a challenge and a stepping stone. Before leaving for the day, Sarah stood by the window, watching the sun dip lower on the horizon. She took a moment to consider how deeply intertwined her aspirations were with her relationship with Emma. They were each other's catalysts for growth, the driving forces behind every tentative action moving them from mere thought to tangible reality. As she turned to leave, her phone buzzed again this time. It was a video from Emma, her fingers dancing across the keyboard, eyes sparkling in sheer joy as she practiced. An unexpected swell of pride surged within Sarah at the sight. In that instant, she understood that they were both learning, navigating their own paths while holding space for one another's growth. But would that realization be enough to ground her amidst uncertainty? With a deep breath, she stepped out into the evening air. Tomorrow loomed large with fresh choices. Her heart raced with the duality of fear and hope as she whispered to herself, "What will I choose?" What awaited her was the looming potential for both failure and triumph. The sun rose the next morning, casting a golden hue over the city, yet Sarah felt a chill creeping into her bones. She stood by the window, eyes surveying the world awakening outside, but her mind was far from the rooftop view. Today was the day she had scheduled to meet Dr. Thompson to discuss her aspirations, a pivotal moment that could shape her future, but doubts tangled her thoughts like a constricting vine. As she prepared for work, she mulled over potential outcomes. What if she failed? What if she struggled to balance school, her job, and Emma's needs? Each scenario twisted in her mind, tightening her chest until she struggled to take a full breath. Yet another nagging thought drifted in. What if she succeeded? The burgeoning prospect of seizing control of her life ignited a flicker of determination within her, but fear lingered like a weighted blanket she couldn't shake off. During the commute, she fought to focus on the road, glancing at her phone intermittently. Each notification felt like a distraction from her unfolding reality. She should have been rehearsing what to say, crafting a stunning argument for why Dr. Thompson should endorse her educational venture. Instead, her fingers danced hesitantly on the steering wheel, echoing her inner turmoil. When she first stepped into the office, the usual buzz of productivity felt muted against the backdrop of her anxiety. Jim offered a warm smile, lingering curiosity evident in his eyes. Sarah recognized this as an opportunity, not just to unveil her plans but to embody the fearless version of herself that she desperately wanted to become. She approached Dr. Thompson's office with each step feeling heavier than the last. As she knocked, her heart pounded like a drum. Voices called her a coward for hesitating, yet the image of Emma, gleefully practicing her music, propelled her forward. This was about more than her, this was about paving a path for them both. "Come in." Dr. Thompson's voice cut through her reverie, and she pushed the door open, an electric mix of fear and hope sparking within her. The warmth of the office enveloped her, but her eyes fixated on the chair opposite. As she settled in, she could feel her throat tightening, uncertainty clawing at her confidence. "Thank you for meeting with me," she began, a tremor in her voice betraying her nervousness. "I wanted to talk about the possibility of going back to school to pursue a degree in marketing." Dr. Thompson leaned back, interest piqued. "Marketing, you say? That's a strong field with great potential. What's driving this ambition?" With each question he posed, Sarah could feel the pieces of her narrative beginning to crystallize. She found herself opening up about her long-standing passion for creative strategy, her desire to contribute meaningfully to the business world, and how this goal intertwined with her role as a mother. But as the conversation deepened, so did the realization that she would have to confront her self-doubt head-on. "I'm afraid," she admitted at one point, vulnerability flirting dangerously on the edge of her bravado. "I fear failing, that I won't be able to balance everything. I don't want to let Emma down." Dr. Thompson scrutinized her, his gaze a mix of concern and admiration. "You're not alone in that fear, Sarah," he responded slowly, thoughtfully. "Every step we take towards a goal comes with uncertainty. But overcoming those doubts is the real journey. You have talent, you just need to nurture it. You have a choice to either remain in the shadows of your fears or move boldly towards your dreams." The truth of his words cut through her hesitation like a warm knife through cold butter. A revelation washed over her, illuminating a pathway. To grow, she must embrace the struggle. She realized that she had held back for too long, letting her ambitions slip like sand through her fingers. By the end of their discussion, a plan had begun to take shape, thoughts morphing into actionable steps. As Sarah left Dr. Thompson's office, a new clarity enveloped her. She still felt a simmering undercurrent of fear, but it now coexisted with a stronger pulse of hope and determination. Each stride felt laced with purpose as she made her way back through the office. She was stepping into a role that required bravery, not just for herself, but for Emma too. As she glanced around the bustling environment, she wondered what other challenges lay ahead. How would she confront her doubts again? Would she stumble or rise to the occasion? The impending decision surfaced again. How could she maintain this momentum as life's complexities unfolded around her? These questions hung in the air as she left the office, the sun now blazing outside. With every beat of her heart, the duality of hope and fear continued their familiar dance. The path ahead was still murky, but one thing had solidified: she was ready to redefine her story. Each moment mattered, a series of choices looming on the horizon. Still, as she ventured homeward, she couldn't shake the questions that began to swirl. What if the balance she sought was elusive? What if the fear of failure proved too daunting to navigate safely? The thought echoed ominously through the crevices of her mind. Would tomorrow bring clarity or chaos? The next morning felt different. The weight that had threatened to crush her spirit now stirred inside, igniting a renewed sense of purpose. As Sarah prepared her usual breakfast for Emma, the prospect of embracing her ambition settled uncomfortably but firmly in her chest. Each toast she spread with butter became a symbol of her resolve. Today, she would not be a passive participant in her life. She would take active steps toward her dream. The day took on an almost surreal quality during her commute. As she drove through the city, the sun glinted off the glass buildings, and a sense of clarity washed over her. Yesterday's conversation with Dr. Thompson echoed in her mind, a steady rhythm urging her to confront her fears. That fleeting feeling of empowerment, when she had briefly glimpsed the woman she aspired to be, pushed her forward. But the road ahead was tangled with uncertainties. At work, she approached her desk with more confidence, her grip tightening around the pen she used to jot down daily tasks. She recalled Dr. Thompson's words. To overcome doubt was to confront it directly. But how? Sarah puzzled over the upcoming hurdles of balancing work, studies, and motherhood while maintaining her sanity. Her mind raced as she glanced up to see Jim walking towards her, a familiar warmth in his eyes. "How did your meeting go?" he asked, genuine curiosity coloring his tone. She hesitated, absorbing the weight of his question. The moment felt pivotal, an opportunity not only to share her plans but to align her actions with her aspirations. "Actually, it went really well," she replied, unable to mask the excitement brimming beneath her words. "I'm thinking of going back to school for marketing." Jim's face broke into a broad smile, but it was his next statement that ignited something deeper within her. "That's amazing, Sarah. You can definitely handle it. You've got this." For a heartbeat, her doubts flickered back like flames fighting against a gale of wind. Could she really manage everything? But hearing someone else believe in her stoked the embers of her confidence. "Thank you," she managed, hearing her voice steady in a manner that surprised her. As their conversation continued, she realized that each word Jim spoke was a building block, reinforcing the foundation of her purpose. Maybe she could trust in her own abilities. Post-lunch, as she scrolled through online classes between tasks, the fear of failure resurfaced, a familiar ghost haunting her thoughts. What if the workload became too much? What if she let Emma down yet again? Closing her eyes for a moment, she grounded herself. Just yesterday, she had chosen to embrace her potential. With a deep breath, she returned to her search, typing affordable online marketing courses into the search bar. The results momentarily consumed her: classes, expert instructors, reviews touting success stories. The more she explored, the more a torrent of possibility flooded in. Each name she clicked felt like unveiling a door leading to an opportunity. Each instructor, a guide steering her towards her ambition. As her heart raced, she paused. It was time to step away from the borders her fears had constructed. She decided to send Dr. Thompson an email, expressing her interest in pursuing a particular program. A part of her hesitated, expecting the chaos of her life to loom, but she recognized that fear was simply a companion on this journey, not the driver. Each keystroke felt liberating as she crafted her message. Once finished, she hesitated over the send button. What if everything changed from this moment? "I can't let fear dictate my path," she whispered to herself. Her hand steadied, and she pressed send. The act ignited waves of anxiety, but beneath that tumult, a simmering excitement began to emerge. She could hear Emma practicing in the next room, the sound offering reassurance, a reminder of why grappling with her dreams was worthwhile. As she stepped outside during lunch for a breath of fresh air, her mind buzzed with anticipation and trepidation. What lay ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear: she had reached a critical juncture. Could she truly navigate the complexities of her responsibilities and aspirations? And just as she rounded the corner, she spotted someone standing ahead, their silhouette casting a long shadow across her path, someone who could either emerge as support or another hurdle. The moment, tinged with tension, felt pivotal, a snapshot of decisions yet to unfold. Would this encounter help her forge forward, or throw her off course? The figure materialized into sharp focus as Sarah approached, revealing the unmistakable presence of Rachel, a former colleague. They hadn't spoken in months after Rachel had left the agency for a startup. Despite the warmth of their past camaraderie, a wave of apprehension washed over Sarah. What would Rachel think of her ambitions? Would she be inspired or skeptical? "Sarah." Rachel's smile was as bright as Sarah remembered. Yet it felt forced, as if she was trying to cloak her own uncertainties beneath that cheerful veneer. "Hi, Rachel. Wow, it's been a while." Sarah hesitated, weighing her words. Should she share what she was planning? Would Rachel dismiss her aspirations as unrealistic, or worse, pitiful? "I hear you're thinking about going back to school. That's brave." Rachel's tone was laced with genuine curiosity. What sparked the change? Taking a moment to steady herself, Sarah felt the anxiety bubbling beneath the surface. This was her chance to vocalize her goals, to assert her commitment. I had a conversation with Dr. Thompson about marketing. I want to deepen my skills and maybe eventually become a marketing director. Rachel's eyebrows rose in genuine surprise. Wow, that's exciting. What's holding you back? Her chest tightened at the question, the familiar specter of self-doubt looming over her. In that single, piercing inquiry, Sarah felt the weight of all her uncertainties, the fear of failure, the concern for Emma, the relentless juggling act of life. I'm just worried if I can manage everything at once. I'm a single mom, and it feels daunting. And yet you are here, taking that leap. Rachel stepped closer, her voice steady and firm. You're already doing the hard work just by thinking about it. Maybe you underestimate your strength. That remark struck a chord deep within her, an awakening. What if she had been underestimating her strengths? Her journey was not merely a pursuit of education, it was an assertion that she was more than circumstances. The hint of self-belief ignited a flicker of determination. I guess I've always been good at helping others with their projects. Maybe I could apply that same energy to my own ambitions, she said softly, but a new urgency infused her words. I need to commit to this, no more hesitation. Sarah, you're capable of so much more than you realize. You can do this. Rachel's conviction was palpable, and for a moment, the boundaries Sarah had constructed around her aspirations began to crumble. After exchanging a few more words of encouragement, Sarah left Rachel with her thoughts spinning. The encounter had been a mirror reflecting unforeseen possibilities back into her consciousness. Yet now, as she walked back to her office, uncertainty began to creep back in. Could she truly navigate the challenges? The weight felt heavier now. Each step echoed with potential paths, one leading back to her old fears and another towards the realm of newfound ambition. Arriving at her desk, she opened her laptop and hesitated again as she stared at the blinking cursor. What if the upcoming courses were too advanced? What if she failed? The nagging voice of self-doubt threatened to engulf her. Sarah took a deep breath and remembered Rachel's words. Embracing the unknown might be exactly what she needed. Compelled by this internal dialogue, she clicked into a course application. But as she filled in the information, a text notification interrupted her, jolting her back to reality. It was Dr. Thompson, responding to her email with some unexpected news and opportunity that could change everything. Her heart raced. What if this was the pivotal moment she had been waiting for? Was she ready to claim it? As she opened the message, her thoughts raced ahead. The anticipation buzzed in her veins. The moment of truth loomed. Would she have the courage to seize the opportunity or let fear dictate her choices once again? The moment her eyes scanned Dr. Thompson's email, the gravity of the invitation threatened to break her composure. We have a project coming up that aligns with your interests in marketing. Would you be willing to take a lead role? Sarah's breath hitched. Lead? The word was vast and intimidating. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard as her mind raced. What was the catch? Why her? Suddenly the doubts surged again, louder than before. She replayed Rachel's encouragement, and her own thoughts about being capable. Could it be possible? And yet, the familiar gnaw of insecurity tugged at her resolve. Lead a project? What if she stumbled? What if she made a fool of herself in front of her peers? She sat back, the chair creaking under her weight. This wasn't just about her, it was a step into the unknown. Each heartbeat screamed for clarity, demanding that she act or retreat. The tug-of-war between ambition and fear sharpened every passing second. As seconds turned into minutes, the sound of clicks and chatter around her faded. Transformation felt as if it hovered on the precipice, waiting for her decision, yet she was paralyzed. Dr. Thompson's confidence in her sent ripples of disbelief flowing through her thoughts. What if this wasn't just a chance to showcase her skills? What if it was an opportunity to redefine who she was? With a surge of determination, she opened up a new window and started typing her response. I'd be honored to lead this project. The words spilled out, her heart pounding with each keystroke. The moment her thumb hovered over the send button, a tremor of fear washed over her. What was she thinking? Thoughts of Emma, her daughter, surged alongside visions of late-night study sessions, disrupted routines, and endless adjustments. This needed her decision, a commitment that would stretch her thin. But the very thought of rising to a challenge, of being more than just a supportive figure in others' journeys, it ignited a fierce defiance within her. She clicked send. A mixture of exhilaration and terror enveloped her as she reclined in her chair, the adrenaline coursing through her veins. Dr. Thompson's reply came quicker than anticipated. Fantastic! Let us discuss this further tomorrow. I'm looking forward to seeing how you approach the project. The warmth of excitement flickered, crashing into a wall of uncertainty. She had committed herself to lead, and an unruly mix of pride and anxiety bubbled within. As the day wore on, the weight of her decision settled in her stomach. She couldn't help but wonder if she had made the right choice. Was she truly ready to take on this responsibility? The doubts crowded in like unwelcome guests, but just as they began to engulf her, she caught sight of Rachel's smiling face in her memory, a reminder of her words. "You're capable of so much more than you realize." Determined, Sarah began crafting her vision for the project, reluctance transforming into excitement. She felt alive with possibility. The idea of leading a marketing campaign, of channeling her skills into something significant, brought warmth to her fingertips. But even as she dove into research and ideas, there was a growing realization that the road ahead wouldn't be simple. Internal conflict lurked. Would she balance her responsibilities as a mother with the demands of the project? Could she even sustain the commitment without losing herself in the process? As questions surged like a tidal wave, Sarah knew she was merely at the beginning of an arduous journey toward her aspirations. The sun dipped below the horizon as she fired off potential concepts, and when she glanced at the clock, she shook her head in disbelief. Hours had flown by in a heartbeat. A sudden ping from her phone snapped her from her engrossed thoughts. A new message from Emma, her daughter. "Mom, can we have a movie night? I miss you." The knot of guilt tightened in her chest. Here was the pivotal point. She could either swirl deeper into her professional aspirations or ground herself in her role as a mother. But what if, just what if, she could bridge both worlds? As she dialed Emma's number, her resolve turned into a plan. Balancing work life with personal goals was going to require fierce commitment. What sacrifices would she make? Would those sacrifices define her path to success or draw her back into the safety of stasis? In that moment, Sarah resolved to navigate the tumultuous waters ahead, confronting not just the challenges of her professional journey, but the delicate balance she must strike in her home. With renewed clarity, she hung up the phone, her heart steady. Tomorrow, the real work would begin, and she was ready to dive into the storm that awaited. But just as she stood up, a notification appeared, an invitation to a networking event for marketing professionals. The gut-wrenching question crashed over her like a wave. Could she truly manage it all, or was this yet another leap into the deep end where she might drown? The first rays of dawn filtered through Sarah's window, illuminating her workspace cluttered with ideas and ambitions. She felt the weight of her two worlds pressing upon her, a duality that tugged relentlessly at her sense of self. As she sipped her coffee, a wave of anxiety mingled with excitement washed over her. Today marked the beginning of a pivotal chapter. It was time to solidify her place as a leader, yet the thought of her responsibilities as a mother flickered in the corners of her mind. With renewed determination, Sarah pulled out a notebook bursting with ideas from the previous night. Every word she had jotted down felt like a stepping stone towards something greater. She envisioned the marketing project that lay ahead, the target audience, the campaign's messaging, the creative avenues she could explore. But the excitement was punctuated with a sense of foreboding. The undeniable truth was staring her in the face. Managing this project meant risking failure, and more importantly, risking the time she could spend with Emma. She forced herself to think pragmatically. Could she set realistic boundaries? She was determined not to let late nights and stress steal her connection with Emma. A meeting with Dr. Thompson loomed ahead. She needed a strategy, not just for the project but for the juggling act that awaited her. As noon approached, Sarah prepared for her meeting, reconsidering every detail of her approach. Having watched her peers navigate their chances for years, she had always been a steady presence, supportive yet shy to take center stage. Could she transform that quiet strength into assertive confidence? The doors of opportunity were flung open, yet they only seemed to amplify her fears. Trailing behind her ambitions was the voice of doubt, whispering about her past, of being overlooked and underestimated. The walk to the office felt longer than usual, each step a reminder of her newly embraced responsibility. The walls of her workplace, typically so familiar, suddenly seemed daunting. She smoothed her blouse, a small gesture that coincided with a mantra building in her mind. Today, she would not shrink away. Dr. Thompson greeted her warmly, setting the tone for their discussion. As they delved into the project details, Sarah noticed his engagement. He was genuinely interested in her ideas. In that moment, fragments of her apprehension began to fall away. She presented her concepts one by one, allowing passion to infuse her words. The more she articulated her vision, the more she realized that she indeed had something valuable to offer. "Your insights are refreshing, Sarah," Dr. Thompson said, a smile creasing his face. "I think with your leadership, this project could really shine. We need someone who understands the nuances in marketing, and you have that." His praise felt electric, igniting something profound within her. The fear of being exposed or humiliated began to dissipate, replaced by a quiet strength, a dawning realization that maybe she could be both a capable professional and a devoted mother. As their meeting wrapped up, Sarah felt far lighter than she had when she entered. Dr. Thompson looked at her with a seriousness that put her on alert. "I want to be honest with you, Sarah. This project will require a deep commitment. Are you ready for that?" The question hung in the air, heavy yet thrilling. This was the moment she had been waiting for, to confront her life's crossroads. Would she continue to let fear dictate her path, or would she embrace the potential lying in wait? With purposeful clarity, she squared her shoulders, meeting his gaze confidently. "Yes, I am ready," she responded, a newfound conviction echoing in her voice. Yet as she exited the meeting room, the reality of balancing her role as a leader and a mother swooped back into her thoughts like a bird of prey. Could she chase this ambition while not losing her connection with Emma? Determined to navigate both worlds, she texted Rachel, who had been a constant source of support. "Just left Dr. Thompson's. Things are looking promising, but I can't help but feel the weight of it all." Rachel replied almost instantly with the kind of words that wrapped around her like a protective embrace. "You're not alone in this. Just remember to take one step at a time." Feeling buoyed, Sarah's mind mulled over the possibilities of sharing her journey with Emma. What if they could learn together? A possibility was stirring within her, illuminating a thread back towards Emma. But as she prepared to leave for the day, another notification flashed on her screen, a pitch opportunity outside her current circle, one that would require even more commitment and time. The gravity of her decision loomed over her once more, and she was confronted with yet another question that could define her future. Would she leap further into an unknown commitment, or would she prioritize the delicate balance she had only just begun to understand? The path toward her ambitions was littered with choices, and the next step could very well change everything. The resolution had arrived like a long-awaited dawn, vast and illuminating. Sarah stood before her mirror, taking in the crispness of her freshly ironed scrubs, a tangible reminder of the progress she had made. Clarity washed over her as she straightened her back. This was the day she would assert her identity not just as a nurse, but as an aspiring leader in marketing, embodying the courage she had fought so hard to manifest. After weeks of reflection and growth, Sarah was finally ready to enroll. She had not only summoned the courage to lead her first project, but she had also engaged in honest conversations with Emma about their shared dreams and fears. Their bond had deepened, transforming their relationship from one of isolation into a collaborative support system that resonated with both ambition and love. During her lunch break, Sarah clicked the submit button on her online enrollment application. With that single act, she had solidified her commitment to pursuing a degree in marketing. The surge of adrenaline that rushed through her veins was intoxicating, signaling the dawn of a fresh chapter. It wasn't just an educational pursuit. It was an affirmation of her identity and a testament to the weight of belief that had shifted within her. Each heartbeat reverberated with confidence, reminding her of Dr. Thompson's encouraging words, how they had ignited her spirit to explore her potential. The project she had been tasked to lead was now more than mere responsibility. It was the cornerstone of her professional rebirth. She could visualize it, not just words on a whiteboard or a report on her desk, but a vibrant campaign, one that reflected creativity and strategic insight. In her conversations with Emma, she saw her daughter's admiration grow, shifting from skepticism to pride as they exchanged ideas about their dreams. Emma, inspired by her mother's ambition, began to pursue her passion for music with fervor, studying diligently for the upcoming competition she had dreams of entering. They were both pursuing greatness, creating an unshakable alliance that thrived on encouragement instead of fear. As the project kicked into gear, Sarah found herself navigating challenges with newfound deftness. Each meeting with her colleagues became an opportunity to display her competence. Their initial skepticism melted as she led discussions that opened doors to innovative concepts and strategies. Their praise broke through the harsh echoes of previous dismissal. Was this not the recognition she had craved? There it was. She was not just a nurse but a burgeoning marketing strategist, proving herself with concrete results. By the end of her first project, a successful campaign launch loomed on the horizon. The satisfaction she derived wasn't merely from garnering approval but from redefining the trajectory of her career. Feedback from Jim and Dr. Thompson brimmed with enthusiasm, acknowledging her potential and lauding her collaborative spirit. "You've exceeded expectations, Sarah," they both remarked during the evaluation meeting. And at that moment, recognition dawned into an indelible truth: she was where she belonged. Finally, it all culminated in a proud evening at the launch party, a celebration of hard work, late nights filled with relentless ideas, and a testament to perseverance. Standing there, surrounded by the buzz of colleagues and the applause of peers, Sarah felt a surge of fulfillment that enveloped her like a warm embrace. Among the chatter of success, her heart raced not from fear, but from a profound pride in her accomplishments. As the evening deepened, Sarah's eyes found Emma in the corner, laughing with friends, a picture of joy and creativity. The realization hit her like an exhilarating rush. Her journey was not just about personal fulfillment, but setting an example for her daughter. Emma's smile reflected a life where dreams were tangible, where ambition wasn't shackled by fear, but rather fueled by love and purpose. With that, Sarah took a breath, filling her lungs with affirmation. She had achieved more than she ever thought possible. She had conquered doubt, embraced her aspirations, and woven a new fabric of trust with Emma. No longer did she see herself standing in the shadows, she shone brightly in the light of her accomplishments. At that moment, not only had she achieved her dreams, but she had also proven to herself the value of resilience, the importance of belief, and the fulfillment arising from shared journeys. Now, as she stood among her peers, she felt an overwhelming urge to connect with those who championed these themes. It was time to celebrate this journey beyond herself, to share her story and encourage others to claim their aspirations. If you resonate with this journey of transformation, you need to subscribe now to the channel for more exclusive stories that inspire and uplift. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm so we can keep bringing these empowering tales to your screen. Comment below with your thoughts and theories about Sarah's journey, and share your own stories of triumph. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let us uplift each other and spread the message of personal empowerment everywhere.